come to know her? Was it when she changed her name? Were you with her last summer when you told me that you were so busy at work and hardly come to find me? Were you? Oh, of course you were.
I'm sorry, but it was only last summer. I don't come into any suicide business.
I thought I did too. What, half an hour ago?
You don't. So, for God's sake, just don't say anything to the inspector. You fool.
Of course he knows. I hate to think how much he knows that we don't know yet. You will see. You'll see.
Well,
Inspector, I think Miss Burling ought to be excused from any more of this. It is bound to be unpleasant and disturbing.
I would rather sleep.
and you think young women ought to be protected against unpleasant things?
If possible,
Yes.
Well, we know one young woman who wasn't, don't we?
Good evening, Inspector.
Good evening, madam.
I'm Mrs. Berlin, you know. My husband has just told me why you're here, and I'm afraid we can't help you much.
Mother, don't.
What's the matter, Sheila?
I know this sounds silly, but I feel you're beginning all wrong, and you're gonna say something you will be sorry for.
You look tired. I think you ought to go to bed.
Mother, I couldn't possibly go.
Don't contradict me like that. I don't suppose for a moment we can understand why this girl killed herself. Girls of this sort.
Mother, stop before it's too late.
Well, I'm talking to the inspector now, if you don't mind. I realize that you may have to conduct some sort of inquiry, and I must say, you must be conducting it in a very peculiar and offensive manner. You know, my husband was Lord Mayor 2 years ago.
Yes, now where's Mr. Burling?
He'll be back in a moment. He's just with my son Eric, who seems to be in a silly mood.
What's the matter with him?
Oh, Eric, I'm afraid that he may have too much to drink. We were celebrating.
Isn't he used to drinking? Some young men drink far too much.
And Eric's one of them.
She.
Now isn't the time to pretend that Eric isn't used to drinking. He has been drinking far too much the past 2 years.
It isn't true.
well, Mrs. Burling, I'm afraid it is, from what I've gathered.
I've been trying to persuade Eric to go to bed, but it seems you've instructed him to stay up. Have you?
Yes, I have.
Well, I suggest you do it now. Get him in and get it over done with.
All in good time.
Now, look here, Inspector.
I'm sorry, but he'll have to wait.
You see?
Well, come along. What is it you want to know?
After Eva Smith lost her job at Millward, she became Daisy Renton. Mr. Croft, when did you first get to know her?
And how do you know that?
Your expression gave it away.
And anyhow, I knew already. When and where did you first meet her?
Well, if you must have it, I met her first sometime in March last year. At the bar at the palace. The one in Bromley, that is.
I don't suppose you mean Buckingham Palace.
Thanks, you have said your piece, so why on earth don't you leave us to it?
I want to understand what happens when a man says he's so busy at work and can hardly find time to come and see the girl he's supposed to be in love with.
As I went into the bar for a drink, though I didn't propose to stay long now. But then I noticed a girl who looked quite different. She was very pretty and, my God, I just can't believe she's here.
And between us, we probably killed her.
Sheila, don't talk nonsense.
You wait.
Go on, Mr. Croft.
She didn't look as if she was enjoying herself. Old Joe, the heart drunk, had just registered for corner. That notorious womanizer. Daisy, Eva, I mean, then gave me a glance that was nothing less than a cry for help. And so, I went across the room gotten out of the way and told her if she didn't want any more of that, she'd better let me take her out. She agreed at once.
Where did you go?
We then went along County Hotel. I had a drink. She had only quartered lemonade. All she wanted was to talk.
She talked about herself.
Yes. I had never even heard of an Eva Smith until tonight. She said her name was Daisy Renton